Despite what it looks like, this is not a magnet. Actually, it's something much more exotic, and the invisible field it emits is easily seen using this 5x5 detector array. But what exactly is the grid detecting? Magnets are underrated. Using an invisible Jedi magnetic force, these little objects attract ferrous material, and their attraction is permanent. It's honestly remarkable, but is there an equivalent for static electricity? You know, an object with a permanent static charge? Instead of attracting only ferrous materials, an object which can attract everything else. After spending the past month digging into studies, poring over manufacturing techniques, and formulating my own recipes, there is such a thing. Let's get right to it. There are so many hidden gems of high voltage physics I've had my eyes open to in recent years. Things from levitation, ionic thrust, nebulography, nuclear fusion, to name a few. But electrets, they're in a class all of their own. Electrets are materials which can retain a semi-permanent electric charge, much like how magnets hold a magnetic field. Whereas a magnet has a north and south pole, these have a negative and positive side, meaning they produce permanent static electric fields. And we're all familiar with what a static electric field feels like. Electrets are really cool and have commercial uses I'll talk about later, but when it comes to the larger sizes, well, those are all experimental and you can't really buy them. And I wanted to make a big one. I got to work researching how exactly they're made, and fundamentally, it's pretty easy. An insulating material is melted, then placed between two electrodes charged to several thousand volts DC. Power is applied the entire time it cools and hardens, leading to a reorganization of charges within the material. That reorganizing comes in a few forms, the most common being molecules lined up in chains of positive to negative, leading to an overall mass of charged material with a positive and negative plate. That's very similar to how magnetizing an object works. As for what insulating material to use, it didn't take long to find the original recipe. Electrets were first made in the 1800s, and Oliver Heaviside originally coined the term electret, but it wasn't until Motojiro Asano, a Japanese physicist, came up with the first repeatable formulation for electrets in 1925, using carnauba wax, rosin, and beeswax. Those materials are easily available today, and I've got the high voltage, so how hard could it be? After a quick search, I found all the materials at local craft stores, and considering they'd be melted, they'd need an appropriate mold. A cylinder shape seemed easiest, and it was a quick print with my Prusa. Once printed, I covered the top and bottom of the assembly with aluminum foil tape, effectively creating two plates to be electrified. For high voltage, I employed the custom flyback from my last video, which at full power produces upwards of 65 kilovolts. I dialed it back a bit and connected it to a voltage multiplier. This setup provided a clean 40,000 volts DC at low current, perfect for forming a large electret. Sick! I should have everything I need to make an electret. I've got the materials, the mold, and the super high voltage power source. This should be pretty straightforward, so I'm just going to get straight to melting the materials. So you can hear the really strong static hiss. That indicates a really strong static electric field. Just barely too strong for the setup.